All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started with this portion of the conference covering community-based resources. And in my portion of the presentation, I'm going to break it up into two sections. I'm actually going to start out with because we're all coming from different communities and things like that. I'm going to start out with a more broad-based discussion and some resources that I think could help on a nationwide scale, and then I will drop into resources that are more near and dear to me as far as where my location is, which is Kalamazoo, Michigan. All right, so really quick, I'm a 20-year retired Navy. I retired from Navy 14 years ago this August, so it's been quite some time since I've been in the military, but it's given me a lot of time to really focus on myself and family and other ventures that I like to do after 20 years of serving our country as a U.S. Navy sailor. I am a father of four, my oldest being 32 and my youngest being 12, who is actually my child with special needs. She has a rare genetic disorder known as Angelman syndrome. It affects about 15,000, every 15,000, 1 in 15,000. It causes developmental delays, delays in walking, physical abilities, fine motor skills, things of that nature. 99% of those with Angelman syndrome do not communicate verbally, so they have to figure out other means of communication to let us know what their needs are. Earlier in one of the previous tracks, I did talk about the fact that she did start walking at the age of finally, three and a half, and participated in the Special Olympics twice in track and field. And after deciding that she was a princess and no longer a track star, we left the track a couple years back, and now she's just enjoying school, enjoying being a preteen, and doing things of that nature. And we're very proud. Excuse me, very proud of her development and her progress so far, which really leads me into how various community-based services that are available in our states and our communities have really given her an opportunity to her as well as us as parents to really become involved and engaged not only in her development but our development as parents and community servants, and really getting our story across to others that may benefit from our story, and also listening to those stories as well. Um, the main focus of this conference is on us as dads and the important roles that we play in our families' lives. So I'm going to try and keep my focus to that, keeping well in mind that as a family and as a team, my wife and I, really attack the growth and development of our child and the growth and development of our family and us as parents in the community and in the community of special needs. So, I don't want to put any downplay that whatsoever, and the importance of being able to be a team as far as development, and not only of our special needs children, but our family as a whole. But for this particular conference, we're going to talk about the dads, and we're going to focus on dads. So with that being said, I want to lead into one organization that I'm actually a part of, and an organization that allowed me to meet David Hirsch in the first place and become involved with the SFN network. Is that I'm actually a board member for an organization known as Parent to Parent USA. Not sure if anyone has heard of it, but it is a nationally run nonprofit foundation that currently is available in 37 out of the 50 states through various organizations such as Parent to Parent, with the local state or the or ARC, or ASK, and various other organizations that may be a part of our member organization, which is how we get involved in specific states through those member organizations. Our goal is actually to become a part of all 50 states through various resources and things of that nature. And I mentioned that because if a state does not have an organization such as Parent to Parent USA, you are available to reach out to neighboring states that may have that organization that can help you with resources. The reason why I mentioned that particular organization, not only as a board member, but because of our outreach that we have in all 50 states, whether we have a parent to parent organization in that state or not, through the various organizations that that particular state does have. Our outreach and our database of partners and friends to P2P is very large and is growing exponentially every day. We're even in the outside of the United States, in Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands and thin areas like that. So we are really trying to get involved and engage. And Parent to Parent USA, again, if you haven't heard of that organization, focuses on children with special needs and their families. You know, that's the main focus of Parent to Parent. Here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, we had a Parent to Parent local organization that was actually dissolved and became a part of another organization that I'll mention once I start focusing more on the local community-based services that are available here. To kind of add to that, as a father of a special needs child, it really took me, and I'm just gonna focus on myself on this particular point, to become involved enough outside of letting my pride, letting my anger, letting all those things go in order to seek out what other options are available to us, such as community-based programs and different organizations or groups that may be specific to my child's diagnosis. And we as fathers have a tendency to miss out on the various programs and opportunities that are out there for us to help us navigate our child's special needs, not only as the child who is experiencing special needs, but as us as parents, as far as how to best support them, how to accept, their diagnosis, but not accept their limitations. We as fathers, we want our children to be great at everything. And even though our child may have a special need, and my daughter may not ever be able to play, sports, play basketball, or do things like that at a high level, all our children, they excel in something. And we as fathers, our children, is always that saying, daddy's little girl. Daddy's little girl is definitely going to follow dad. And if we, are engaged enough in our children and we know what's available to them and us as parents, to make them the best that they can be, then we should take every opportunity to do so. I'm not going to talk and preach this whole hour and a half. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to. I want to hear from you all as far as you're in various areas throughout the country. I apologize. And, with me being here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, we have programs here that are geared towards fatherhood and new fathers, established fathers, those with special needs children, and various other organizations that maybe just lean towards fatherhood in general. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass that on, pass this opportunity on for others to kind of talk about, their locations and what community-based services they have had, you guys have had experience with, and what you can share with us as far as not only what's in your state, but how, being involved or knowing of the various services that are available to our children and our families, has helped you in your journey. So the floor is open.
Hey, Lenn, thanks for sharing. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. My name's Joe, and I was on the other track. I think I was supposed to be on this track in the beginning, so I didn't catch all your story, but I got the Parent to Parent USA, which is important. And my family and I, we're a family of 5. My wife and I have 3 kids, and our middle child, Micah, who's 21, has multiple disabilities or special needs, and he's changed our world for the better. It's like you said in the beginning, a lot of times it's, you want what's best for your child, and the success for them is going to look different than success for maybe some other kids, but you love them and you get to know them. And so we kind of, our journey led us to start some community-based program, an organization called Ability Tree that comes alongside families impacted by disability. And so we have 4 locations right now, well, 5, actually 2 in Arkansas, 2 in Florida, 1 in New Jersey. And so we provide rest for families, recreation, education, support, and training. And we do some online virtual programming as well on the Ability Tree station. And so, families like ours, I know in the beginning, and even with Micah being 21, he's graduated high school, just respite, temporary rest. Like, you can't, Micah's needs, he didn't walk to his 4. He's on the autism spectrum. He has epilepsy. He needs help, when he has a bowel movement, just to be cleaned up and stuff. So you can't just have anybody, you can't have a teenager watch him now because he's 21. So you need somebody who you trust and, who has some experience. And so, we even need respite now. My wife and I are primary caregivers still for him, and our 24-year-old, she's living on her own. And then our 18-year-old's at college. So when they're at home, they're a great help. But, finding just that respite, that resource, I'd love to hear from others what you guys have in your community. But for, some of the ways we provide that is after school care, weekend respite. We do a parents' night out every Friday night, or Saturday we do parents' night out at our location, and that's 3 to 4 hours. That's not only for the child, the school-age child with special needs, but for the siblings as well. Because, if you are a parent of a child with disability, and you have typical children as well, the impact that it has on them. So a lot of times the resources, the time and resources are allocated to your child with special needs, and the siblings kind of feel like, hey, what's left for me, and Micah was in therapy, OT, PT, speech therapy since he's been 9 months old. And my wife talked to the therapist when Micah was about 2.5 and said, hey, can we include our 5-year-old in this too? And maybe include her in some of the activities. And so that was helpful. But including siblings in our programming allows them to develop a natural support network that, with other boys and girls that kind of understand what their life is like. So, I know when we were living in New Jersey, we've been in Arkansas since 2010, but when we were in New Jersey, there was a lot of money to get reimbursed for respite care, but there was nowhere to take your child, and Micah at the time was bused out of district. So 45 minutes one way to a special needs school, which was great for therapy and great for his ABA and learning and all that kind of stuff. But the kids in our neighborhood didn't really, get to know him and didn't really understand him. There was only one child in 5th grade who had autism in our town. And so that was it. And we did go to a local church, and he developed some friendships there. But again, a lot of those kids didn't understand him because they weren't around other kids with autism or disability. So, that's kind of, I would just encourage you guys, just to, look to other families. For us, it was finding community-based resources, was talking with other families impacted by disability, because they're out there. They may be limited, but another family can be a great resource to you as well.
So Joe, before I forget, I want to tag along what you said about siblings, which is very important. And here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, there's an organization called Ask Family Services. And what they do is one of their several programs focuses on the siblings and, trying to ensure that the siblings have someone that they can, safely express their feelings and concerns, not only with themselves, but with their sibling with special needs, and really let them know that they are equally as important as their brother or sister with special needs. Because a lot of times, especially when the siblings get older, we figure that, they can navigate on their own. And usually the older they get, the more difficult it is for them to navigate around the attention that their special needs brother assisting is getting. So organizations like Family Services, and I'm sure there are various organizations throughout the other 50 states that may focus on that, but they really have programs that hone in on building better relationships between the siblings and giving them a safe place to express their feelings, whether in front of their parents or absent of their parents, just to feel that they can express themselves and be able to communicate what their thoughts and feelings are as being a brother or sister of a sibling with special needs. So I just want to throw that in there just so I didn't forget it.
That's awesome, man. That's important. I just share one more quick thing. We had we're at our downtown space in Salem Springs, Arkansas, and we have an art studio and store here. It's kind of my wife's vision. She's an artist, and so we had a art show last night for our college age students. We have 12 students with a variety of disabilities in our college age program, and it was packed last night. And can't see all the artwork. It's back towards in the front, but there's tables and stuff behind me. But a lot of just we do what's called artability as well. And you may not have like an inclusive or accessible art program or sports program or whatever in your community, but you can always talk to, I'm sure you have some kind of sports league or sports program or art program for typical kids. And if you talk to the director, talk to the person running it, the city, whatever, and saying, hey, how can I include my child in this? I know when we moved to Arkansas over 10 years ago, they didn't have any special needs, any inclusive sports leagues. And we talked to the city and they said, well, Micah can be in, on the soccer team, that's fine. And it was good in a way because the other kids got to know him and he got to practice, but he didn't get in the game, because it wasn't real safe for him. He wouldn't have cared if he scored in his goal or the other team's goal either. So he just wanted to build relationships. He just wanted to learn the skills of the game and build relationships with others. So we started what we call an MVP league, which was inclusive. And, and we partnered with the Boys and Girls Club on stuff. And so, it's sometimes it's hard because as parents, we're tired, we're frustrated. We've had, we've been discouraged by what the doctors, just that they don't give out a lot of hope, or the schools discourage us after an IEP meeting. Or we've been offended by another family, but it's so important that we advocate for our child in the right way, and just say, hey, take that risk and reach out to an organization, reach out to your school district, reach out to the city, and say, hey, how can my child be included? And, inclusion doesn't mean everybody does the same thing. It just means everybody's welcome and included. So doesn't mean everybody has to ride a bike. It just means everybody can be included in, an activity where maybe they're riding a bike, maybe it's an adaptive bike, maybe they ride in a vehicle behind the bikes, so that they can get to wherever they're going and hang out with everybody. So, just that's my 2 cents. So like Lenn said, what else is going on in you guys' area? What are some community-based supports that you guys have in your area?
My main question actually related to the services is I think that there was a few different startup company I talked in the past that's trying to come up with a national directory for all services for family with special needs. I think a lot of the project kind of fall apart after a few years, but does anyone on this call know any like reputable directory to look up services for all the different state? And I think this is like this will be a really wonderful resources since everyone's from a different, areas. But if anyone know, please share. There was a startup I talked to 3 years ago was trying to create this directory, but I think something happened and they were never able to really take that project to the next level. But just wondering if anyone know.
So Jason, I'm not sure if you heard me in the beginning or if you were in the room at that time, I couldn't remember, but there is an organization, and again, I am actually a board member of this organization. It's P2P USA. and you can just find it by doing p2pusa.org, and they have all 50 state access to resources. As I said earlier, P2P USA is actually located in 37 of the 50 states via various organizations, such as, like I said, Ask Family Services, such as various mental health areas, the ARC, which is a very large organization, Angelman Syndrome Foundation, just throughout the 50 states. We're 37 of the 50 states where we're actually located. But if you go online and just go to p2pusa.org, they can connect you with services throughout the entire country based on your location. It's a very good source, and we have a large portfolio of contacts in our own network, but because we have our outreach in all 50 states, even though we may not be located in all 50 states, we can get the resources that you are looking for passed on to you very quickly, actually.
Okay, I was part of the initial meeting as well, so I'll definitely check out the resources, and maybe if I do want to partner with your organization with my businesses, what's the best way to do that?
We have 3-level partnerships, and I don't remember the other two off the top of my head, but the lowest level partnership is a friend to P2P. And basically what that, in a brief statement, you would become basically part of our organization as a friend. There is a very, very nominal fee to be an annual member. As far as that's concerned, it's very low. It's not anything stressful at all as far as being a part of the organization. If you want it, such as to be added to our website, not only does that give you exposure as your business, it gives us exposure to your clientele to be aware of P2P USA. But that's something that we could discuss at a later time. And all you basically would do is go to the website and mention that you'd like to partner with us, and we can go from there.
I see. And I guess the reason why I bring it up is something I was really looking for. Is like a Yelp version for special needs with reviews and everything, and like a comprehensive database. Just unfortunately no one was able to put it together yet.
Yeah, we have background data on all of the organizations that we are linked with, or those that we refer to. So any information that is available for that particular organization within your state and locale, we could definitely provide you with that information before you reach out to them. Anyone else have any community-based resources or information they like to share within their locales?
Jason, I was going to say that was good information. I know, like Lenn said, I'm learning something new today with what you guys have, parent to parent. I'm going to check that out, because in Arkansas and Florida and New Jersey, like usually each state will have resources listed through the government, but you've got to through the state, but you've got to register those, so it doesn't always list all of them. Right. So I mean, word of mouth is great as well, but having a national directory, again, then you have like faith-based ones, you have non-faith, you have secular resources, all that kind of stuff. So I think if you find the state ones, it's probably going to just list the state run or secular ones. We have the Arkansas support network, but then you got to go through, you got to live in Arkansas to get supports. And so it's a huge endeavor, but it sounds like, parent to parent, Lenn, what you have and what you guys have developed it would be a great resource. We've got some faith-based resources, and Johnny and Friends out of California, they've got a database with some faith-based resources, so if somebody's looking for that, but there's just, I don't know that, sounds like Lenn, you guys have done a good job of compiling some, but I don't know that Yelp has done any.
Right. And I would go ahead and mention too that we actually, myself and my director, we started a initiative, basically it's a Father's Engagement Initiative, which is new to Parent USA. And that's basically part of our diversity, equity, and inclusion series of parent to parent new initiative that we're starting. And just to put out, July 28th will be our first coffee talk that we will be doing that will be focused towards father's engagement. I have been working and talking with David in the past about father engagement. I did do a podcast, I believe it's 185, where I talked about father engagement with David, and and some others that we have met through this venture. So just to keep on your radar, if you're interested, we will be having this first coffee talk that's going to deal, mainly with our engagement with not only with our special needs child, but as fathers and dads to our entire family. So, it's one of those things where we'll talk about new dads, established dads, dads with special needs children, dads without, and it's just an opportunity for parent to parent to start engaging in fathers in a way that hasn't been done before, as far as parent to parent is concerned.
And Joe, I just sent you an email. I'd love to connect with your nonprofit offline. So.
Thank you, Jason. That'd be great.
Hi, this is Corey. Sorry, I'm walking outside if there's any wind or anything behind me, but I'm with my kids. But thank you very much. I'm going to definitely check out the P2P website. I've learned a lot today from the different speakers. Got a lot of resources. My older son is almost 7. My younger son just turned 5. They're both autistic, ADHD, and I've always had problems finding any kind of respite. I got on a list for in-home respite, and I was on a waiting list for 2 years, and nothing ever worked. Even if I would have been approved for that, it would have only been able to cover 1 kid. They wouldn't have been able to watch 2. So I'm always on the lookout for some kind of respite. Hopefully as they get older and more independent and can be involved in activities, that'll help. But yeah, that's been kind of a struggle.
Corey, can I don't mean to interrupt, I'm sorry, but I want to ask where you're at, because I want to reach out to my organization right now while we're on this conference, see if I can get some information for you.
I'm in Arlington Heights, Illinois. It's a northwest suburb of Chicago.
I'm actually from Chicago as well, and
okay.
I agree with you on the difficulty of finding respite. But I'm going to reach out to my director right now while we're having this discussion. Please continue. I'm going to do it kind of offline.
Oh no, that was all, and thank you.
Yep, I'm going to do that right now.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and I'm going to check out your website.
Hey Corey, how old are your kids? Did you say?
Almost 7 and just turned 5.
Okay. Are they in school? Are they in the public schools, or do you guys homeschool, or?
My older son is in kindergarten in a classroom just with like 5 other kids, but they do some mainstream things. Most likely he's going to be moved to a therapeutic day school next year. And my younger son will start kindergarten next year in a therapeutic day school within the community.
Yeah. Okay, I was just checking. Yeah, I'm sure you've already checked with your school district about respite care in that area, and it really is a number one need for families like ours. Just there's not enough, and you're in a populated area too, so
wait lists for anything.
Yeah. We've been on a wait list for Micah, who's our son, who's 21, for certain care. He has Medicaid and stuff, but for respite for him, if it wasn't for Ability Tree and the respite we do here, he wouldn't, have it. I think we have like 1,200 individuals ahead of him still. So we need more. We're working on 2. I don't know, something that we work with as Ability Tree. We work with churches around the country, and we have networks that we partner with, and trying to, the church, we're a partner with the Tim Tebow Foundation. We're a Shine On partner, and they did release a stat recently that said less than 10% of churches have any type of outreach or programming for individuals with disability. And that's just as a former pastor, and my wife and I pastored for about 5 years, that it's not, doesn't come as a shock, but I believe that church could really meet the need for respite care if it stepped up. And a lot of times, pastors just don't know what to say, what to do, so they don't say or do anything and further marginalize and exclude people. And it's typically unintentionally, but something we're doing around the country is working with churches to provide respite, 1 to 4 hours of respite care a week. And we have churches around the country. We have some in about 2 hours from where you live, from Chicago. So I don't think you want to drive 2 hours one way for respite care, but we need more stepping up. But if you guys are a part of a home church, anybody on this call listening, and you're like, hey, we'd love to get that going at our church. We've got plug and play programming. We call it Parents Night Out, and it's 3 to 4 hours of respite care once a month. We have some churches do it once a quarter. We do stop, drop, and play. Well, we do after school programming Monday through Friday at our locations, but a church could do what we call stop, drop, and play, midweek or once a week, to provide a couple hours for parents just to get some errands done, go to the grocery store, go to the pharmacy, take a nap, read a book, whatever it might be. But so I would, I don't know, if feel free to shoot me an email too if you want to. It's just joebutler@abilitytree.org, and I'll put that in the chat. So if you guys are saying, hey, I need some respite in my area, I'm a part of a local church, I may know somebody there or somebody in the area that can help with that.
Another organization that I've had a little bit of experience with, they partner with churches and such, is called the guidelight.org. And so they did a weekend getaway, so to speak. And the whole family goes, and they had people, they partnered with a church. And so they had people from that church who literally were one-on-one with every special needs kid, as well as some others, obviously, because the rest of the families are there too. And so while the parents had sessions and some free time, the kids were getting their own, activities and being taken care of and such like that. And so that was something that I really enjoyed. I'll put the link in the chat.
Thanks, Jeremy. That's awesome, man.
Hey, this is Matt Rabine. I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee. I remember a couple of you all from the call I was just on with Rooster, but so we have the same need as everybody else. We have a need for respite care. We have a 10-year-old son with autism and ADHD who's very active, very physically gifted. It's my daughter here. But I think the challenge we have is that at times his behavior can be aggressive. We had to actually change schools earlier this year just because of some issues with staff members at the previous school getting injured, and it just kind of makes us we just can't have anybody providing respite. Even people who might be in a certain spectrum of qualifications might not be able to handle a kid who, when they start really having those kinds of issues. So first of all, just wanted to, thank everybody for the discussion. And second, does anybody have any connections here in the Nashville area that we could be in touch with, and just anything to, kind of speak to that, what I just mentioned there about just kind of that struggle.
Hey, Matt, this is Shane Madden. I'm actually outside of the Memphis area in Tennessee, but
Oh, okay.
I'm from Mount Juliet outside of Nashville originally.
Oh, cool.
If you want, maybe in the contacts in the chat over here, send me your information and I'll see if I've got some contacts in the area that might be able to assist. One of the things too, I don't know if you guys participate in it, but we joined, were accepted into the Katie Beckett waiver program in the state when it started about 2 years ago. And you can get up to $10,000 a year for medical needs for certain disabilities, and respite care is covered under that. Usually you got to find your own caregiver, that's probably the tougher part sometimes than the financial part. But you might look into the Katie Beckett waiver as well if you guys aren't participating in that.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I see your contact.
I just put my info there in the chat.
Hey Shane, what's the how do you spell that, Katie Beckett?
It's first name is Katie, Katie. Last name is Beckett. This was a federal program, actually started in the 80s under the Reagan administration. It was named after a little girl who had severe disabilities, and it fell into one of those categories where a lot of people, they make too much money to qualify for Medicare, Medicaid, and so this waiver was created. It does not look at the family's financial situation, so you're able to get care at home without having to come out of pocket or being in a hospital over 30 days. And actually, let me find the link, because I've got a link somewhere to all 50 states, because some states, they name the program slightly different. Let me find that link and I will put that in the chat.
Thank you, Shane. I think that'd be really helpful.
Yeah, I'd like to add about the respite services. They are very difficult to find, especially if the child has a specified diagnosis, where in our case, with my daughter having Angelman syndrome, it presents several different other challenges that, a lot of respites don't want, if they're just a general respite per se, or maybe a respite that focuses maybe on autism or more of a generalized focus. Then, like for instance, my daughter, not only does she have Angelman syndrome as her main diagnosis, but it also includes epilepsy. It includes having to be changed. She has to wear a diaper. Even though she's moving around and can pretty much do most things on her own, like feed herself and things like that, someone has to prepare her meals for her. And it makes respite very difficult. I know there was a gentleman on here from Ontario in one of the other tracks, and found that in my daughter's case with her syndrome, there are like specific respites. Like there's an entire respite in Ontario, Canada, designated specifically for Angelman children. And then I believe there's one in Texas and maybe one other in the United States. So for us, finding respite is almost impossibility. But with that being said, we still need to keep looking, because with her being 12, in no time she'll be 18, and us as parents, we're getting older, just like they're getting older, and respite becomes not only important to them, but important to us as far as our mental and physical health. So we definitely have to stay on that and find it. It's a necessity at times.
I just sent that link out to everybody for the kids waivers programs.
Got it.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, Matt, I know, just to share how difficult, we've got a few families that have had a hard time with respite that we've been able to provide, but that we're a volunteer driven organization, we're a nonprofit organization. So, it's training our volunteers to work with kids that can have self-harm or tendency to, harm others can be difficult sometimes. But, finding that trained specialized care right now, it seems it's kind of limited, but it's so needed, and if you can even, like, my daughter helped with one of our families outside of our organization, and she did really well with this young boy who could, had some behavior that could be harmful to himself or others at times, but he did great with her. So
yeah, it's main thing is we don't want to, scare anybody off. It's not like the most important thing is just, develop a relationship, and over time, we just need a bigger village. I mean, that's the thing. We just, especially after through the pandemic, the village just got really small, and coming out of that, like, we just need more people that we can count on. My family's kind of far away. My mother-in-law is here in the area, but she's not really able to, provide that kind of care. So I appreciate everybody sharing these resources and encouragement. That's just really good to, be, connected like this.
So it looks like we've got about 6 minutes left, or 5 minutes before this track is over. And I just want to say, before we get to that point, it's been a very good discussion. I've gotten some resources just off this one track that I'm going to reach out to as well. And I hope that you all have gotten some various avenues that you can take other than what you've already done, which I'm pretty sure is great, but it's always better to have more than not enough resources to track down and try and help our children and our families succeed as best as we can. Sometimes as fathers, we kind of, I don't know if anybody in this group, but sometimes we let the wives kind of take over, and the moms, and they run the show, and they reach out to all the communications and resources that are available, and we kind of just go with it. But we are just as important, and our knowledge base, we work as a team, as parents, to be the best that we can, for our children, and set them up for success. And that's going to involve these community resources and community-based and faith-based resources that are out there for us to take advantage of, that have been developed by not only organizations that we're unaware of, but also organizations that you all as dads and as parents have developed in honor of your own children, to help support other children and families that if they're not going through the same similar situations that we may be encountering right now, they may soon be venturing into that realm based on their child's age or diagnosis and things such of that nature. And what you all are doing, not only for your families, and are developing for others to take part in, is a tribute to yourselves and your dedication to not only making, your child or your young adult the best that they can be, but taking what you have learned from your experiences and applying it to help others. So definitely greatly appreciate it as far as what you all do, and even the fact of being on this conference and sharing your stories and your information with all of us.
Amen. I'll just add to what Lenn said. You guys are obviously, you're on this virtual conference, so you're engaged, to an extent in your child's life, but it's your wife isn't a single parent. You gotta be active, and we process our child's disability different. A lot of times in the beginning, we try to fix it. We try to fix the problem, but it's not. You can't fix it. your child isn't a problem. They're a child who needs to be embraced and loved and accepted, and get to know them. And of course, we're going to do everything we can that's going to help benefit them physically, emotionally, spiritually. But just accepting them for who they are and engaging them, and doing everything you can for them is so important. And fathering, they need a father. So mom can't be both father and mother. So just keep up the good work, guys, and don't give up. It's just encouraging to see the dads on here, and know that there's hundreds, thousands more out there that maybe just didn't know about this or didn't have access to it, or they're still, in the journey of accepting their child as a gift. But yeah, it's an honor to be on here with you guys, and keep up the good work.
I was hoping to share something really quick with the group. I am, for the past 11 years, I am the primary caregiver for my daughter, and my wife works. And it sounds like a number of you in the group are kind of connected to the provider side of supports. And I wanted to share with you that one of the biggest challenges that I come across is that a lot of the supports are biased against the dads. And so, I have random people telling me, oh, you should give mom a break. And I'm like, you have no idea. My daughter has very, very complex needs. And so I had to stop working. She requires 24/7 care with cerebral palsy and autism, both. She has, she's in a wheelchair. She uses eye gaze for communication. She has medical devices. She eats by G-tube and requires diapering. So it's pretty intense. She's got seizures and things. So, it's a pretty intense. I mean, it's a rewarding life. But when I try to approach people about support, it's just geared toward the mothers. And so if you have any influence on some of those supports out there, just to kind of take away the, singling out either mother or father and just saying parent support, I think that would be extremely helpful, because I know I'm not the only father that's the primary caregiver.
No, and you're not. And please, again, thank you for sharing that. Is that Mick? Okay, yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I'll be very quick with this. I don't know if you saw, but again, my organization, p2pusa.org, we're really venturing into father engagement, and we're really becoming very engulfed in making sure that we are inclusive to us as dads as well, because you're right, there are a lot of services that are more biased against us and more lean towards mother involvement and less towards father involvement, and it is a shame, but it is a definite situation, and you going through that is very unfortunate, but you're fighting through it, which is great. And there are other dads and that are sole providers as far as caregivers. I myself retired early because my daughter required 24-hour care in certain ways, and just couldn't put her in after school care and things like that. So I needed to be there, and wife was working, and I was the best candidate to retire since I was already retired from the military. So I understand what you're saying, and I feel your pain as well, but also feel your pleasure in that you're providing for your child, and you're there and you're involved 24/7, and that is something that we as dads don't always get to do anyway. So that's a blessing that you're available to be there for your child. With that being said, if there is not a P2P USA organization in your particular state, because I didn't hear where you were from, but our outreach is across all 50 states. And again, we are focusing more on dads with our interventions as far as diversity, equity, inclusion, and take a look at it, and it may be something that can help you out and guide you even further through your journey. So with that, I think we're out of time. There's another track started immediately.
Yep,
Well,
that's right. This is the end of track number 3, and you can head back to track number 1 for the networking session, or if you'd like to stick around, the track will stay open.
All right.
But the network of sessioning has officially started 3 minutes ago. So
thank you very much. I have to leave the forum, but if there's anyone that has a question, I do have a second or two I can answer if you have one. If not, I'm going to take off, get my daughter ready for her day.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, Evan. See you guys.
Thank you all.